In a world where kindness is often overlooked, one simple act would change everything. Grace, a woman with little more than a heart full of compassion, helped a beggar on the street, not knowing that the man she gave to was more than he seemed. What starts as a humble gesture leads Grace into a tangled web of secrets, fate, and unimaginable truths. Who is this beggar, and how does he hold the key to her future? Hold your breath. This is a story that will leave you speechless. It was a cold morning in the heart of the city. The streets were crowded with people hurrying to work, the sound of their footsteps echoing off the tall buildings. In a small corner of the city, hidden from the busy world, sat a woman named Grace. She was poor, wearing a simple faded dress, her shoes worn out from years of use. Grace lived in a small, run-down apartment on the outskirts of town, where the rent was cheap, but life was always a struggle. Despite her own hardships, Grace was known for one thing: her kind heart. She always helped those in need, even if she didn't have much to give. Whether it was offering a meal to someone on the street or giving her last coin to a beggar, Grace couldn't ignore anyone in need. One morning, as she made her way to the market to buy some food, she passed by a man sitting on the sidewalk. He was old and dirty, his clothes torn, and his face weathered from years of hard living. He held a cup in front of him, hoping for some spare change. Most people ignored him, walking quickly by, too busy to stop. But not Grace. She noticed him right away. He was sitting there, shivering from the cold, his eyes tired and sad. Grace paused for a moment, her heart heavy. She didn't have much, but she couldn't walk past someone in need. Reaching into her small bag, she pulled out the last of the change she had, just enough for a loaf of bread, and walked over to him. "Here," she said gently, placing the coins in his cup. "I hope this helps." The man looked up at her, surprised. He hadn't expected anyone to stop. His eyes softened as he saw the kindness in her face. "Thank you, dear lady," he said in a gravelly voice, his words full of gratitude. "God bless you." Grace smiled and nodded. "I hope you find warmth and food soon. Stay safe." As she turned to leave, the man called out to her. "Wait," he said. "Can I ask you a favor?" Grace turned back, raising an eyebrow. "What is it?" Could you come back later?" he asked. "I have something I want to give you. Something important." Grace hesitated. She didn't know why this man wanted her to come back, but there was something about him that made her pause. It wasn't that she wanted something in return. It was just that feeling, that small voice inside her that said, "Maybe this is important." "I will come back," she said. "I have to buy my food, but I'll return soon." The man nodded gratefully. "Thank you. I'll wait for you here." Grace went about her day, the man's words lingering in her mind. Who was he? Why did he want to give her something? She couldn't stop thinking about it, but her day was busy. She had to care for her small apartment, make sure there was enough food, and figure out how she would pay the next rent. Later that afternoon, Grace returned to the spot where the man had been sitting. As she approached, she saw that he was still there, sitting in the same place, though his posture seemed a little straighter now. She walked up to him again, feeling a strange sense of curiosity. "I'm back," she said. The man smiled at her warmly. "Thank you for coming," he said. "I wanted to give you something." Grace raised an eyebrow. "You don't have to give me anything," she said softly. "I just helped because it was the right thing to do." The man smiled and reached into a small bag beside him. "It's not much," he said, pulling out a small, old-looking box. "But this is something you need. You never know when you might need it." Grace hesitated, her heart beating faster. She wasn't sure why, but there was something special about the way the man spoke. "What is it?" she asked, her curiosity growing. The man handed her the box. "It's a token," he said. "A reminder that kindness always comes back to you." Grace took the box, confused but grateful. "Thank you," she said, unsure of what else to say. "Keep it safe," the man said. "And remember, kindness is a gift. You've given so much of it, and someday it will come back to you when you need it the most." Grace nodded, still unsure of what this all meant. She tucked the small box into her bag and made her way home, thinking about the strange encounter. As she walked, the streets felt a little brighter. The weight of her struggles didn't feel as heavy as it had before. Maybe it was the man's words, or maybe it was the thought of a small act of kindness that could change everything. But for the first time in a long while, Grace felt a small spark of hope. Grace didn't think much of the small box she had received from the beggar. It was just a strange token, after all. She placed it in the drawer of her small kitchen table and forgot about it as the days went on. Life didn't stop, and neither did her struggles. The days passed in their usual rhythm. Grace woke up early to clean houses, made a simple meal for herself, and did everything she could to make ends meet. Her apartment remained modest and cold, but it was her home. She lived for the small moments of peace, like sitting by her windows at dusk and watching the city lights twinkle. Yet something about the box lingered in her thoughts. What did the beggar mean by, "Kindness will come back to you"? Grace had lived her whole life giving what she could to others, but she had never expected anything in return. She had always done what she thought was right, because that was who she was. One evening, a week after the encounter, Grace found herself thinking about the box again. She had been busy cleaning all day and, as usual, had spent the evening alone. She walked to the small drawer where she had placed the box and picked it up. Its simple design seemed ordinary, but the words the beggar spoke came rushing back to her. She sat down at the kitchen table, turned the box over in her hands, and finally opened it. Inside was a small folded piece of paper. Unfolding it, she read the words. "When the time comes, you will know. Keep this safe." Grace frowned, confused. There was no explanation, no clue as to what it meant. But somehow, as odd as it seemed, she felt the weight of the message. She carefully placed the paper back inside the box and closed it, unsure of what to think. Days turned into weeks, and Grace continued her routine. She had all but forgotten about the box until one day, when she received an unexpected phone call. The number was unfamiliar, but something urged her to pick it up. "Hello?" she answered cautiously. "Hi, is this Grace?" a man's voice asked. "Yes, this is Grace. Who's calling?" "This is Alex. I'm calling from a company called Okogie Enterprises. I hope I'm not disturbing you, but we came across your name through a community charity project, and we're very interested in offering you a job." Grace's heart skipped a beat. A job from a company she had never heard of? And the name Okogie. Was it just a coincidence? Alex continued. "It's a cleaning position, but it's at one of our most prestigious locations. We believe your work ethic matches our company values. Would you be available for an interview?" Grace was stunned. She had never been offered anything like this before. Cleaning jobs in high-end places. Her mind raced. Could this be a real opportunity? She couldn't turn it down. "I'll be there," she replied, trying to hide the excitement in her voice. The day of the interview arrived, and Grace prepared herself as best she could. She wore her cleanest, simplest dress, the one that had seen better days. She knew she didn't have much, but she was determined to make a good impression. When she arrived at the company's headquarters, she was awestruck by the building's grandeur. It was a modern glass-covered skyscraper that gleamed in the sunlight, a stark contrast to her modest apartment. Her heart pounded as she walked through the entrance. She was greeted by a receptionist who directed her to the elevator. The interview is on the 24th floor. Please go right ahead." Grace took a deep breath and stepped into the elevator. She tried to calm her nerves, reminding herself that this was just another opportunity to work hard. She wasn't there to make a grand impression, just to do her best. When the elevator doors opened, she stepped into a spacious office, and there he was, the man she had helped weeks ago, the beggar. He was dressed in a sharp suit now, sitting behind a large desk. "Mr. Lawson?" Grace asked, shocked. "Yes, it's me," the man replied, looking up from his papers. "I knew you looked familiar. I never imagined you'd be the one applying for the job." Grace's heart raced. The beggar who had given her the small box was sitting in front of her as a successful businessman, the owner of Okogie Enterprises. She was speechless. "I know this is a surprise," he said with a smile, "but you've helped me more than you realize. That box I gave you, the one with the note, it was a test. I needed to see if you were someone with integrity, someone who would keep going, no matter the circumstances. And you've done that." Grace felt her world shift. The mystery was unfolding, but it didn't make sense. She had helped him out of kindness, not expecting anything in return. And yet here he was, offering her an incredible opportunity. "I'm offering you a position here," he said, "not just as a cleaner, but as an assistant. I believe in rewarding people who give without expecting something back. You've proven that you're one of those people." Grace sat in stunned silence. She had no words. "You may have been struggling, but now you'll have the chance to change your life. I've been watching you for a while, Grace. You don't know how much your actions meant to me." Grace's life began to change rapidly after her meeting with Alex. The job at Okogie Enterprises wasn't just an ordinary cleaning position, it was a turning point. She quickly proved herself to be hardworking and dependable, and within weeks, she was promoted to a personal assistant role, assisting with important tasks at the company. The office staff treated her with respect, and she was given opportunities she had never imagined. As she worked harder, her self-esteem began to grow. She had gone from struggling to make ends meet to working in one of the most prestigious offices in the city. Yet she never forgot the reason she was there, the kindness she had shown a beggar, who turned out to be the billionaire owner of the company. One afternoon, while working in Alex's office, she found herself alone with him. It had been a month since she started, and they had grown to trust each other. Alex seemed to always be there when she needed advice or encouragement. "Grace, you've been doing an incredible job," he said, looking at her with a proud smile. "I've noticed how hard you work, how dedicated you are, and I have to say, I'm impressed by how quickly you've adapted." Grace smiled, humbled by the compliment. "Thank you, sir. I just want to do my best." Alex looked at her with a thoughtful expression. "You're one of the most genuine people I've ever met. I know you didn't expect anything from me, but I owe you more than you realize. If there's ever anything you need, anything at all, don't hesitate to ask. You've changed my life." Grace was speechless. She had never expected to hear those words, especially from someone in such a powerful position. In that moment, Grace realized that her life had been forever changed. She had given to a stranger without expecting anything, and in return, she had found a family, a purpose, and a life beyond her wildest dreams. She wasn't just working for a living anymore. She was part of something greater. And from that day forward, Grace understood the true power of kindness. Not only did it change others, it had the power to change her entire world.